Hi, it's Bea with Crafting Daily Dose, and today I have an alternative for the August 2022 paper pumpkin called Sweet Sunflowers. Now, at first glance, it may not seem like much of an alternative because it pretty much follows the same layout as this card here. But if you look closely, you'll notice that instead of having a paper card base, I've used window sheet to give an unexpected look to the card. And we also have some movement for the bee. Clearly, you're going to want to make this card, so stick around and I'll show you how. Here are the pieces that we need. Obviously, we're going to need a clear card base, and for that, I'm using a piece of window sheet that is 4 1/4 inches across, 11 inches in height, scored down the middle at 5 1/2 inches, so just like we would make a regular card base. And you might see that I've got some tissue paper with it sometimes just to give it a little extra protection while I'm working with it. There's also this tiny strip here. This is 1/8 of an inch across, or you could even make this slightly thinner. And right now it is 4 1/4 inches in height, but that's longer than what we need, and that's going to get trimmed down. I'm going to show you in just a second how I cut these two pieces. Now from the kit, I'm using this beautiful panel as well as this label die cut. I'm using 4 of the bees, 2 that are pointed to the right, and then 2 that are facing to the left. And then finally, I have 3 pieces of basic white cardstock. Each one is 2 5/8 of an inch in width and 3 7/8 of an inch in height. These measurements are designed to be just very slightly smaller than this part of the panel here. And that's all we need. You can find a link to the supplies in the description box. We're ready to get started. This is my piece of window sheet, and if it doesn't look clear, that's because I kept the tissue paper behind it. This is the tissue paper that comes in the pack to separate out the sheets so that static doesn't make them cling together. I'm keeping the tissue paper behind my window sheet for right now, even while I'm cutting. This is going to help protect it from getting scuffed up while I'm working with it. Now I can cut this in my trimmer just as I would paper. So I'm going to line this up at the 4 1/4 inch mark. If you're using the tissue paper with it, you want to make sure that the edge of the tissue paper is lined up with the edge of the window sheet. Otherwise, your measurements will be off if they're not aligned and you're actually just measuring the tissue paper. So I'm at 4 1/4 inches right here. And I'm just using my cutting blade to cut. Just press down firmly as you're doing this, and it should be able to cut through both layers. So here's my window sheet with a clean cut that's not sharp at all, and the tissue paper was cut along with it, and I can just keep them together for right now. Now I cut a lot of window sheet, so I actually have a blade that I use for that, separate from what I'm using for my paper. But if you're not doing that a lot and it's just once in a while, I think it's fine to use the same blade. Now this is the 4 1/4 inch width that I need, and now I'm going to turn it so that I can cut the 11 inch height. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and I will open up my extension arm here. I'm going to put this at 11 inches. I know that's off screen for you, so I'm going to show you. This is at 11 inches. My tissue paper is not there, but the edge of my window sheet is. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to make it a little bit longer than that. So I'm going to be at 11 1/8 of an inch. And then I can go ahead and cut. Now that my piece is 11 1/8 of an inch, now I'm going to scoot it down so that it is just at 11 inches. That means that on this end I have 1/8 of an inch. Afterwards, I'm going to have this little 1/8 inch strip that I need to use. This is a lot easier than trying to start out with a smaller piece and then trying to cut something this small. Next, I'm going to move to 5½ inches, which is right here. I'm going to move my cutting blade safely out of the way, and I will go ahead and score. I'm pressing down really firmly here, and I'm going over it several times. And you can probably see there that I've created that score line. And then the key here is to really burnish that down well. I'm lining up the edges. And I'm starting by pressing down at the center and then working my way out. I'm pressing down more moderately at first just in case I make a mistake. But once I'm confident about where this fold is, I can really press down more firmly. And now the card base is ready to use. I'm using the soft suede ink from the kit to stamp my sentiment, and really that's the only stamping that I'm doing for this card. If you'd like, you can also stamp the message panel for the inside, but this is a smaller space, so I'm leaving myself that room so that I can write a message later. And now we'll assemble the card. For this, I'm using my Stampin' Seal tape runner, but you can also use the glue dots that come with the kit. You just want to make sure that you're using enough of them for it to be secure, since you're working with a slick surface here and not just adhering to pieces of paper. So I'm going to turn this around, and you can see that the solid part forms almost a rectangle. There's some extra bits there that are outside of that rectangle, but it's still basically a rectangle, and we're going to put some adhesive near the edge. So I'm going to center this over my card front. That tissue paper is on the inside, and I'm placing this right on top of the window sheet. If I need to, I can readjust, but if I'm happy with the placement, I can go ahead and press it down. And I'm going to remove the tissue paper to double check it. Now from the inside, the adhesive that we used is going to be visible. So we're using one of the other cardstock panels to cover that up. I'm going to very carefully align it over the solid part of that front panel. Before I press it down, I'm going to check from the front to make sure that I don't see it, so it stays hidden. If that looks good, then I can go ahead and press. So here's the front of the card, and now that adhesive is covered up. Now I'm going to close my card and turn it all the way over to the back, and I'm going to place another panel here on the back. I'm making sure that the front and the back of the card are lined up nicely with one another. And then I'm going to cover what I can see of the other rectangle piece that I just put down. Take your time with this, and at home, go ahead and put your head right over your project so you can look straight down and get a good alignment. Now we're going to flip it over and check it from the front, and so far so good. Now we've got one more part to do. The back piece that we just applied was put there in advance to cover up the adhesive from the message panel, which is what we're going to do next. Just line up this piece with the one on the back. everything is nice and hidden. Our cardstock panels can't be seen from the front, and all of that adhesive is out of sight. Now I'm going to take that tiny strip of window sheet and I'm going to curl it. You can use your fingers for this, but a bone folder is going to work better. So I'm just applying pressure on this and curling it just like you would do curling ribbon. And you can see that that has curled nicely. Next, I'm going to take the glue dots from the kit and I'm going to apply one to the front. Just right at that tip. I'll peel off the backing, and then I'll take one of those bees that faces to the left and I'll put it on. Now I'm going to turn this over, and if you'd like, you can leave it like this, but I'm going to put a second bee behind this just so that it looks a little bit more tidy. So to do that, I'm going to apply another little glue dot to the back onto the window sheet. And I've taken off that backing. I'm going to put a tiny dab of glue right where the wings are. And then I'll put one of the bees that faces to the right. So the glue dot is adhering it to the back side of the window sheet, and then the glue makes the wings of the two bees stick together. Okay, now this is ready to use. I'm going to place it on my card so that it kind of is close to this flower over here. That way when it moves around, it looks like it's buzzing around the flower. And my little sentiment label is going to go over here, like so. And I'm going to attach them together with another glue dot. So I'm putting a glue dot just on the window sheet. I'm not putting it onto the card itself. And I'll see how I want that to go. Something like that. Double check that. And then I can go ahead and trim off the excess. Now you can use dimensionals to add this label to the card. I'm going to use a piece of film adhesive sheet that I've trimmed down just because it's easier to use just one piece. And I want to make sure that I'm just putting it towards the left of my label because this part is going to go over the edge and I don't want adhesive to be showing from the back side. Checking on the back, that's good. I don't see that foam. I've got those two little bees left and I will put mini dimensionals on them. Now you can arrange these how you'd like. In general, I prefer to have them facing inward so that the eye is drawn towards the center of the card. Here's our finished card. Now this bee presses down very easily so that the card can slide into an envelope, and then it's going to pop back up and it's just a lot of fun to play with. Plus you get the added surprise of having a clear card base, which is a really cool look. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this dose of creativity. Remember, there is a subscription link in the description box if you would like to receive future projects and be able to get refills and past kits. If you get a chance to make this project, I would love to see it, so share it in my Facebook group or tag me if you're sharing elsewhere. I hope to see you again next time, and until then, have a great day.